When you think about who builds AI, you probably picture coders, right? Maybe some data scientists buried in numbers. But what if I told you that the newest, most essential hire in AI is someone you would never, ever expect? So let's just think about that for a second. What is the single most surprising job title you could possibly find at a top AI company right now? A role that completely changes what we thought it took to build this technology. You ready for this? The philosopher. Yep, that's right. Leading AI labs are bringing actual philosophers on board as core members of their teams. This isn't just about consulting. They are there to tackle a challenge that goes way beyond code. So, what on earth does a philosopher do at an AI company? They're there to help shape the AI's character. Because it turns out building a helpful and safe AI isn't just a matter of math and science anymore. This really lays out the whole evolution. For a long time, the focus was all on the technical side, right? Can it run the code? Can it solve the math problem? Is it fast? But now, the new focus is on something much more, well, human. We're talking about its actual behavior, its ability to understand nuance, and most importantly, its ethical compass. And that brings us to this really key idea, ethical nuance. Look, this isn't just about programming a simple list of right and wrong. It's about teaching an AI to show the kind of moral reasoning we'd expect from a thoughtful person when things get complicated. For instance, if an AI is asked to help with a school paper, it has to weigh being helpful against the ethics of plagiarism. That's a gray area. And that's exactly the kind of complex thinking these philosophers are helping to build. So why is this happening right now? Why is it so urgent? Well, it's because these AI models are already out there, facing some incredibly hard decisions. Here's the core of it. These AI models are not in a lab anymore. They are out in the world interacting with millions of people every single day. And in those interactions, they're being forced to make some genuinely tough calls over and over again. And this really gets at how deep this whole thing goes. The questions being debated inside these companies are no longer just technical. They're asking profound things like this one. How should an AI model even think about its own place in the world? That's not a coding problem. That is a straight-up philosophy problem. And this is why the skill set for building AI is totally changing. As you can see here, technical proficiency is, of course, absolutely essential. But now, ethical nuance is considered just as crucial. It's right up there on the same level. The idea is that you simply can't have a safe or truly advanced AI without both. One without the other is incomplete and, frankly, potentially pretty dangerous. Okay, so if that's the huge challenge, what's the solution? What's the end goal? Well, this brings us to the guiding philosophy behind it all, something we can call the ideal person goal. At the end of the day, the big aspirational goal for these teams is to teach an AI to act how an ideal person would act. We're not talking about your average person, but a model of someone who is virtuous, wise, and compassionate. This quote just perfectly nails that guiding principle. Every single time the AI faces a tricky situation, the developers are asking themselves this exact question. It's an incredibly powerful and unbelievably ambitious benchmark to set for a machine. And of course, this leads us to the final massive question that hangs over this entire project. We want our AI to act like an ideal person, but who on earth gets to decide what ideal actually means? Which values, which culture, which philosophy gets to be the one that's encoded? That is the profound challenge that will, no doubt, shape our future with this technology.